Beginning ODO podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the ODO podcast, where normal is not my specialty. I am your host, as always, the stuck in the house, Adam Higgins, the odd dad out. And this is the show where I ramble and rant and tell you about what's going on in my life, and maybe share some parenting insight or marriage, whatever the fuck is going on. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert at anything, but I'm here to amuse you and entertain you, and maybe we can commiserate together with, is that the right word? I don't know. Whatever. How's it going? So, yeah. The show's late. You know that. Maybe you don't. Maybe I don't need to say that at all. But I've been trying really hard to get the show out on time and get it, to have it done ahead of time. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago when I said I was trying to, when I moved the release day in the first place, that I wanted to be trying to get the show out consistently and be ready midnight my time Monday morning. And well, then Corona happened. Yeah, I'll just say it. Then Corona happened, and that all started. The big school closures, all that stuff started when my boys were starting spring break. So it didn't really matter too much. They were already going to be home. My wife already took the week off for spring break. And so we're like, all right, no big deal. And then they started closing schools, and they said, okay, well, we're going to extend spring break another week. And then we're going to have, after that is going to be a week of distance learning, big air quotes, distance learning, where basically it's homeschooling. And, that as soon as regular spring break was over, they went and extended it. And the governor came out and said, okay, we're not going to be, schools aren't going back, April, whatever next Monday is, April 8th or whatever it is. I can't do time right now. Next week would have been next week. We're going to extend it to April 10th because, no, that's what it was. It was the governor said, it was going to be April 4th or April 3rd or whatever, 4th through the end of this. What would have been the end of this week? And then the school was we were closing till April 10th. Okay, fine. It's 2 weeks of us having to kind of homeschool. We'll figure it out. Well, then in all this time, they started extending it and extensions and extensions and extensions. And then it turned into this morning, they announced that they were going to extend all of the federal guidelines for what they're doing as far as the shelter in place, so the self-isolation and all of the precautionary measures that they've been recommending. Well, they were going to extend that to April 30th. Well, the boys' last days of school was May 15th. So it's only 2 more weeks. So it basically amounted to, we were going to now they were forget it. The governor came out this morning and said, schools closed through the end of the year. We will not be reopening any of the schools for the remainder of this school year. And so now we are homeschooling for the next 8 weeks. Joy. And yeah, it's just been kind of a lot going on with some of my boys' teachers actually started last week, even though they said officially that nothing started until this Monday, until today. Today was the first official day of distance learning, homeschooling, for all the kids. But all of them had assignments and things due last week. And one of the boys even had a teacher who basically was saying, this needs to be done today. And she was getting really hardcore with it. And her schedules that she was coming out with were super extreme. And we were getting really aggravated because whereas a lot of them are okay, this is just practice. So we're getting used to how to do the things. some of the teachers were like, no, you have this assignment. This needs to be done today. I need to see this. Like, this assignment needs to be turned in by one of them. It's one day. Like, this needs to be completed by 3:30 p.m. Like, are you high? Like, there are still parents that are still working. Some of these kids may possibly be in daycare, may not have resources available to them right now to do this assignment in the time frame you are subscribing to. And later they were like, okay, we're extending it to 10 o'clock tonight. Like, y'all gotta get some stuff in order. So like, there was a lot of inconsistency between how the teachers were doing things. And so, like, I think today they finally, I mean, it's the first day, but they finally got kind of where everybody's on board, and there's like a calendar, like worksheet for them all now that says, here's what each day of the week, here's all of the assignments they're responsible for. And every day we have to check all the assignments, and like we had to go pick up workbooks and get them signed up on all these different apps and get set up with Zoom, so that if they want to have like video conferences with their teachers, and some of them are using it for sharing lessons. One of the boys, his teacher is actually using it to take attendance every morning, which I'm like, really? You're taking attendance? Like, you are going to require every single student to jump on Zoom at 8 o'clock every morning just to check in with you. It's a little overkill. Whereas a lot of the other teachers are like, you're turning in your assignments, you're getting the work done. Then that's really all that matters. You're doing the lessons, you're doing the homework, you're doing all the work. As long as it's getting turned in, they don't, with a few exceptions, like where it's like, oh, you need to read this much time. You've got to be on this program and do these lessons for 20 minutes today. That stuff. But other than that, like, okay. Like, if they can get all of their work done and all their assignments done adequately by noon, or like 10 or 11 o'clock or whatever, and have lunch, and that's their school day, what's wrong with that? Some of the teachers are like they're giving these really long lessons, and like, oh, it's 30 minutes for this and 30 minutes for this. And then you look up and you realize that they have planned out a full school day. They have lessons and like, oh, this is going to be 30 minutes and this is going to be 30 minutes and this is going to be 30 minutes. And you look up and they have them doing school at home until 3 o'clock. And I'm sorry, but this is homeschool, not school. I'm not teaching 25 kids. I'm dealing with 3 all different lessons, and I don't have time. This is with me working at night, and I'll get to that hopefully in a minute. But yeah, that's what, I can't, like, if there are other working parents, they can't sit there and be doing homeschool until 3 o'clock and then have to maybe cook dinner, and maybe there's, chores and housework that has to be done. If they're home to do that, you just assign me 8 hours of school or whatever it is. I'm not doing school time math right now. Like 6, 7, 8, whatever hours of school. I'm like, if I worked during the day and I got home at 5 o'clock, or say I got home at 3 o'clock, and I normally would pick up my kids at 3 o'clock after school, that means I now have schoolwork until 9. Never mind dinner. That's schoolwork until 9. Yeah, fuck that. So yeah, that's not good. But yeah, that's just, so we're getting used to it. And right now, I guess I'll talk to her. ReAnna is still home, because of the extended school closure for like the extended spring break. She got permission to take last week off, as well as kind of the extended with the like company policies and things that were, and with all of the special leniencies and extensions being granted to people and permissions for coronavirus stuff and for self-isolation, and maybe you're a high risk person or an elevated risk person. And so I don't remember if I mentioned this, but of the 6 of us in this house, 4 of us are technically elevated risk. We're not really high risk. We don't have like heart conditions. We're not especially old. We're not immunocompromised. But 4 of the 6 of us in this house have lung conditions. ReAnna and Bug have asthma. I have COPD. Sam was born, he was premature, so he had underdeveloped lungs. Granted, it's hit or miss on whether it really affects him now, but it's still a precaution. It's still a consideration we have to make. And it's entirely possible that we don't if one of the boys or if any of us got a severe enough infection, if we got infected with this, it could affect us badly. We could have a very, we could be on the higher, the more severe reactions to it. And so, it's just one of those things that we're dealing with. And so, we're being cautious, but, all that said, ReAnna got sick last week. And she got sick while she was supposed to go back to work, and then she got sick, and it started looking suspicious because, when you look at some of the symptom lists and stuff, you start going with, oh shit. Okay, well, what separates this from a flu or a cold or whatever? And you're just okay, well, if you got a flu, you're usually congested and it's a wet cough and all that stuff. And there's the fever, both of them have a cough and sneezing and a fever and all that stuff. But what they were saying before was that with this virus, that it's more of a dry cough and you don't really get congested or stuffy or anything, like a runny nose or anything like that doesn't really come with it. And so it's a good kind of differentiating factor that you can use that to determine, do you just have a flu or a cold, or is this more serious? Is this COVID-19? And that was kind of our line. And it really was starting to look like she was having that glass in her throat cough. And, we went from, okay, we literally had on Monday night last week, because Tuesday was Damien's birthday. And so I was going to work Tuesday. And we had, we kind of did some of the birthday stuff on Monday. Most we saved, because everybody was going to be home, we saved birthday dinner and cake and all that stuff for Tuesday. But we basically kind of celebrated, you could say, on Monday night. We did a big karaoke party. We got Charlie's karaoke mic out and connected it to ReAnna's Spotify. And we were all sitting there and we're just we're singing, and we have these crazy fairy lights in the kitchen now that we change color into dance party, disco, flashy lights going on. And we're just singing karaoke and we're, having fun. Boys got to stay up extra late doing karaoke, and they were having a fun time. And I actually at one point, I forget what song it was. I ended up popping my ear doing karaoke because I have TMJ where my jaw clicks really hard sometimes. And I was singing something and I just went so hard on it. And when I opened my mouth, my jaw popped so hard that I popped in my ear. And I suddenly was oh my God, this is, I thought my ear was bleeding. That's how much it popped and it hurt. And immediately had to stop singing. And they're nope, I'm done. I can't go anymore because I'm in pain. And it only lasted a few minutes, but those few minutes hurt like a son of a bitch. So that was that. And yeah, ReAnna was singing, and, she was coughing, and I figured okay, we just kind of overdid it and stretched our voices too much. Get up in the morning and she's got, scratchy voice and she's coughing and kind of lost her voice. And we're just thinking, okay, yeah, we just overdid it last night and she lost her voice from karaokeing too hard. Okay. But she didn't feel good. It's okay, well, she's got the day off, because school and stuff. And it's all right. And then as the day goes on, she's not feeling great. And she's laying in bed and she's resting, and she gets up in the afternoon, and lo and behold, now she's got a fever. And now she's coughing a lot more, and she can't eat anything because she's got that broken glass throat going on, and coughing and sneezing and like having trouble breathing and all of the things. And now it's like, shit. Could this be it? We don't know. And so I'm texting my boss. I'm like, because at this point I've got to leave for work in like an hour. And I'm like, shit. Like, okay, so here's what's going on. And this was very much most of the day, everything seemed fine. We're like, and yeah, she just kind of overdid it and she lost her voice. It happens. Like maybe the air conditioning was up too high or something. I don't know. She lost her voice. But when the fever hit, and then suddenly she's in a lot of pain and a lot of other stuff, it was like, shit. So I like called my boss. I'm like, okay, so here's the deal. Here's what's going on. I'm like, she's sick. These are the symptoms. I don't know what to do. And it wasn't even I'm trying to stay home. It was, I don't know what to do. Do you think I should stay home? Do you think I'd like come in? I don't know what to do. And he's like, stay home. Like, just stay home. We'll figure the rest out for now, for later. Just give me an update tomorrow. And it was kind of give me an update. And I think the next day he texted me. I was like, hey, how's she doing? And I was like, here's what's going on. Fever's like this. We did like a teledoc thing. And they basically said, they're like, like, and I've said before, we've got so much medical equipment because of all the pregnancies and stuff that she can basically do all of her own vitals for a doctor visit. So, she's doing all the vitals and taking her temperature and doing all the things. And basically what it amounts to is where she's not high risk enough. Basically, like her fever wasn't high enough. She, like, the fact that, like, basically for the last 2 weeks, she hadn't gone anywhere because she'd been home, and we had already been in a point of kind of self-isolation and quarantining of people. So her and the boys didn't go anywhere. I was the only one leaving the house because I was still going to work. I was the one doing grocery runs and all this stuff. And it turned into, well, how could she have gotten, like, she didn't have any exposure we could speak of. And I wasn't sick. So we're like, it doesn't look like this is what you've got. So you're not qualified, or not, I would say qualified, but because, especially at the time, there was like we're only testing the high risk people, the people that are at risk for dying from this. Those are the people we're trying to get tested so that we can get them treated if they need it. So we were like, basically going through the whole thing. We're like, yeah, she's not they're not going to test her. She's just not high risk enough. Her symptoms aren't strong enough for her to get tested right now. Your best option is treat the symptoms and self-isolate, which we were kind of doing already anyway. Well, basically to tell my boss this, like, yeah, they won't test her because blah, blah, blah. I just told you this story. So he's like, all right, well, he talked to our big boss and they basically said, stay home for the week. Like, just in case, because if this is it, you're exposed. We don't want you coming to work if it's a possibility. So he's like, stay home for the week. We'll figure it out come next week. And I kind of update him over every day about here's how things are going. Here's what the, doctors, and let's go through the phone screenings and all this stuff and what they're saying. And so, yeah, that was kind of my week with that. Meanwhile, we're also trying to get the boys set up for the distance learning stuff and all that stuff. And so now, like, I'm home and we're doing all this stuff and we're, so much going on. Meanwhile, she's sick. And she's like legit sick. And she's like, a lot of the time she was just staying in bed and resting, and kind of like the fever only lasted a couple of days, which was good. And we're like, okay, maybe it wasn't it. Maybe it was just a flu thing and she'll be able to get back to work. I'll be able to get back to work because it's all better. She really didn't feel any better, probably until last night or this morning. So it's been a full week that she was dealing with whatever sick she had. Meanwhile, there was an article I read in the meantime, because there's so many articles coming out right now about what, people and the circumstances and the doctors and all. There's so much. Everybody's in quarantine and in isolation. They don't have a lot to talk about or write about. This is what they're writing about. And there was an article from somebody who said what it appeared like they thought they had a sinus infection turns out they had coronavirus. And it was basically like they were sick. They thought they had a flu or something. They had felt like they had a sinus infection or something. They go to the doctor to get some meds for it. And they do a flu test or whatever it was. They do a test, comes back negative, and they're like, okay, well, you've got this symptom, these symptoms. Like, okay, let's test you for this and find out. And and it takes a while for the results to get back. So you're kind of stuck with that. They test you. I think it takes a week to get the results back. And so, she's waiting. She's like, okay, in the meantime, self-isolate, do the things, just to be safe, because we don't know until we know. And the test comes back and he's like, oh no, she's positive for COVID-19. Oh, she was like, okay, well, I had a cough and I had a fever for a couple of days, but that was maybe 48 hours of a 100 something fever, 100 point something fever. And I was, I thought I had a sinus infection, and all the symptoms. There's it's basically like having a sinus infection. Have you ever had a sinus infection and a flu or cold or whatever at the same time, which kind of happens because sinus infections and messes with your immune system, and it, you can't really stop the other sort of crap getting into your system. And so it kind of happens. And I've had that several times. And so I know what a sinus infection feels like. And a few weeks ago, I thought I had a sinus infection. Reading this article, looking at her symptom, her case was almost with the exception of going to the doctor, because I'm one of those people where I generally experience the same illnesses year after year. I was like, yeah, I usually have, a few flare-ups of sinus infections. I usually have some sort of a flare-up of my bronchitis. And if I don't manage it and get it under control, again, longtime listeners know I've cracked ribs because of my bronchitis cough extending for so long. I actually had it happen 2 years in a row. So I've dealt with a lot of the same illnesses and a lot of the same experiences year after year. So I don't go to the doctor unless I have to. Oh yeah, I know what this is. At this point, when I do get really sick, I can go to my doctor and say, yeah, this happened again. I need, I just need a prescription for Tessalon pearls and some, I forget the name of the steroid. It'll come to me later, but I need this medication, prednisone. That was it. I need Tessalon pearls and prednisone, and I'll be all right. I just need a week of those and I'll be fine. And maybe some antibiotics, give or take. And it all clears up. I'm used to it. But, I was sick, about 3 weeks ago, right at the very beginning of all of it. And looking at that article, I'm like, wait, all of her symptoms lined up. And I started looking at all of my symptoms lined up except for the whole cough thing. And I was like, wait, well, I did have a sinus infection that I know. The radioactive green or yellow snot is a pretty big giveaway. And it's like, okay, I was dealing with a sinus infection. Well, what if the sinus infection was covering up the dry cough because I was just extra stuffy and congested and mucusy from that? Well, crap. I think I might have had it. And, I went from thinking, I was like, oh, no, I'm fine. I had a sinus infection to, oh crap, what if I actually had this thing? And they're seriously actually considering I may have actually had it. I don't know. I don't know for sure. At this point, I don't. And as far as I know right now, they can't test for if you already had it. I think that's something they're talking about. They're trying to work on, the antibody test to see if you've had it previously and you have the antibodies for it. So they know, okay, you're already you're not immune, but you've been exposed. You were not currently, actively sick with it and stuff, whatever, however you would phrase that. And so it's kind of been a weird thing, kind of having that sort of feeling and realization. But at the same time, I'm that was me. I was sick weeks ago, and whether or not ReAnna has it or had it or whatever, we don't know. So we're kind of, she's currently still off of work this week while we're getting the boys kind of established with school stuff at home. I'm going to be going back to work this week, but looking at my schedule, kind of funny. They have me working by myself almost exclusively this week. They've got me working by myself, I think, just as a precaution to everybody else too. But their, they're looking at, I'm kind of the first case where that may be that somebody could have been exposed. And it's still completely hypothetical and theoretical because we don't know. We don't know if ReAnna had it. We don't know if I had it. All we know is we were both sick a few weeks apart. At this point, and the boys are sick, which kind of tracks with what they've been saying. But, it's been a little spooky. We've been a little scared. I did not think twice about did I have it or not. I thought I had a sinus infection. Sinus infection. I was, seasonal allergy, seasonal flu, whatever. That's what I thought I had. I mean, and absolutely, that still could totally be the case. I could have absolutely just had the seasonal flu and a sinus infection. But unfortunately, those two combinations of symptoms also exactly cover what could have been coronavirus. And we don't know. And until there's the test for you've already had it, gone, done, passed, and you're over it, then we won't know because we're not high risk enough. And if we did have it, I had a mild case. And if ReAnna had it last week, she had a mild case and she's for the most part over that. I'm for the most part over that, other than still got, allergies that I'm dealing with. So I'm still a little, I'm perpetually congested and stuffy and all that. But other than that, that's kind of it, And so it's been a little scary, just the thinking about it after the fact. It was one thing to think about like, oh my God, do I have it? And being precautious and super washing our hands, which I kind of do anyway. And we've had a lot of videos and little things showing the boys here, here's why you have to wash your hands. Here's why you have to be careful, because it's important that you are, washing your hands, properly, really scrubbing them, front and back and all the things. And we've like those videos where they'll show the various steps where, all the fingertip scrubbing and the getting your thumbs and up your wrists and all the back and forth and between your fingers and the steps, but they'll do it with like paint or ink or something on their hands. So you see like, oh, doing this motion doesn't cover this area. You've got to do all of these different motions in order to cover the stuff. And so them seeing those videos and stuff like that and like, making sure you're washing your hands and doing it for everything and just being cautious and careful. And with ReAnna having been sick last week, part of our house cleaning has been going through, Clorox wipes and wiping counters more and wiping all the door handles and all those things, even though for the most part, I'm the only person that's left the house and it's basically just been to go get groceries. And last week, again, I didn't go to work last week. So it's basically at home and buying groceries. It's basically all we did last week. So, yeah, that was that was our week. And I don't want to. I did not intend for this week the show this week to be so much about oh my God, I think we get coronavirus. But it's it's what's going on with me. And ultimately, that is the show. The show is what's going on with me, what's in my head. And right now, what's in my head is we potentially we're dealing with it. And it's a possibility. We don't know. And we are not in a segment of the population where we're really going to get tested. Not like we would have if we could, but we're not in the population that is getting tested right now for emergency purposes. And so, I'm going to be cautious when I go back to work. We're being very cautious here at home. Again, nobody's leaving. We're basically homeschooling for the foreseeable future. We don't know exactly when ReAnna's going back to work because she may be getting an extension on her home time because of the school closures and things like that. So there may be circumstances where she may be staying home to help with the homeschool stuff, which would be a big help. Whether or not it happens, I mean, I can kind of figure, I got to figure it out, because no matter what, she's not going to be home for all of it, and I'll have to do a lot. So we got to figure out the homeschool stuff and get everybody in their routines. So yeah, that's what's going on. And it's harder to be funny right now. And I realize that, I try and be funny. I try. I don't know how many people think I'm funny, but I try and be funny sometimes. And, I've got some ranty. Okay. I'm going to sidebar from coronavirus talk. Let's get out of Coronaville. Put the viruses away behind the wall and get silly for a minute. Not silly. Actually, I'm kind of ticked off. I have been blocked by Instagram twice in the last 2 weeks. Instagram has, like, was this 2 weeks ago? It was like Monday, or it was like on a Tuesday. I know when it was. 2 weeks ago Tuesday, I established a separate Instagram account for Odd Dad Out Voice Productions. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start really trying to do more work, online promotions, and putting more content out there as an editor, as a kind of just establishing myself and giving myself a presence on the internet, as this is a business that I have and this is what I do. And you can see, and like, I have, I know what I'm talking about and things like that, and starting to establish a presence online for the thing I do besides talking to you guys. And in that, I started kind of making little, image stuff. And with a few exceptions, almost everything I have is original content. It's like going on Canva and coming up with a little inspirational slogan or something. Like, if you ever follow me on Instagram or anything, like my regular, the Odd Dad Out Instagram, a lot of the stuff, I reshare a lot of inspirational stuff because I don't come up with things well myself. I'm just not like that. But I don't know where people get inspirational quotes and shit. I really don't. And I don't want to be super cheesy about it. So I don't use a lot of that. But I don't need a quote of the day email. Here's your inspiration of the day. Praise Jabus. No, I'm not. I don't do that. But I need some stuff and some tips and some motivation and inspiration for the creatives and the podcasters and the people who may or may not need help with podcasting or whatever, and me trying to establish that brand. I've had this business for going on 2 years, and I've done very little with it promotionally. I don't market shit because I don't know how to market. I just say it. I don't know how to market. But I was like, okay, I'm going to establish this Instagram account and start putting stuff up there that's relevant, and have my little tips and tips and tricks and advice and things to be inspirational for creators and things, and maybe get a little bit of attention. I have no clue what I'm doing really, but I'm doing this. Well, 3 days in, I go to check, because I was like, oh, I've got notifications. Okay, I go check my notifications on that account. I've got maybe 10 people following me on this account at that point. And I go to look, and it won't let me log in. It won't let me view that account. I'm like, what the fuck? And then it won't let me, I'm trying, okay, that's weird. It disappeared from my little, if you have multiple, I don't know if when you have multiple accounts on Instagram, if you have the app on your phone, you can basically just a little drop down so you can quick switch your accounts to check them. This is kind of actually the same thing on Twitter if you have that. But anyway, I'm like, I go to switch to that account and it won't let me switch. And I look, and suddenly it's not there. It's got my Odd Dad Out one, but my Odd Dad Voice Pro is missing. Like, okay, what the hell? Maybe it just glitched and it took it off of my thing. I'll just add it back on. It says, and suddenly I'm having all these errors with, password not correct and blah, 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 blah. And ultimately I look, and then I get to the point, I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to go to, I had posted with like where I'd shared a post and like, okay, so they were cross tagged. I go click the, okay, ODO Voice Pro. I click it, user not found. Like, what the fuck? I have, and it's not a ton of posts, but I have, a handful of posts that I've made. Why is it that I can't, what the fuck did my post disappear? What the fuck? And like, where's my account? I was like, okay, well, maybe there's just some sort of a glitch. I go and just try and rebuild the account. I was like, okay, I'm just going to like remake it. Click, go on. I'm going to remake the account. Won't let me. User is like name not available. I'm like, well, what the fuck? And I get pissed. And if you follow me on regular my Odd Dad Out Instagram, you would have possibly seen my angry post about what the fuck. They basically canceled my account out of fucking nowhere. I did nothing. This was with exception to one reposted video of a guy. And this is something I've reposted on the Odd Dad Out Instagram before. I shared a video from a guy talking about creating content and like how you want to turn like your listeners into friends and like making a deeper connection with your listeners. And it's like, this is a great thing to share. I shared this. I did not share this as if it was my own at all. And I shared this video. This is the only thing that was not 100% original content that I created. And I look up and my shit's gone. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't do anything. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I build a new account. All the way spell it ODO Voice Productions spelled all the way out because apparently a Voice Pro is still taken even though you canceled my account, assholes. I go, I make this, I took all of because all of my posts cross-posted onto the Facebook page for the business and also went out to my Twitter account just to do something with them. Well, I'm like, all right, I do all this stuff. And then I look up, like I started grabbing the images and the posts and so I can repost them and get it all back up. And it's like one post a day. I'm not spam posting or anything. I put up one post a day on this account. And it's usually like some inspirational thing or, hey, get started. Don't be afraid to make your thing. The most important part of podcasting is blah, blah, blah. It's like me just kind of summing up a tip of some type thing into a little text image blurb thing and a little caption to go along with it to flesh it out. That's all I did. Less than 10 posts. And a handful of people follow, and a lot of them are people that already follow me for the show. Like, okay, they see, and especially because I did post saying, hey, I have another account for business stuff that's podcasting related specifically, and it's related to editing and producing and stuff, that side of it. That's what, like, and saying, hey, if you want to follow me over there. Almost nobody did. But anybody that followed me were usually like industry people or whatever, and I'd follow them back. I look up the other day and I go to just like a post. No, I tried to follow somebody that, like a production company or something that followed me. I was like, okay, I'm going to follow them back. This action blocked due to your use of this feature in the past. Your account has been suspended for, like, what the fuck did I do? I did not do anything, yet I am being restricted for no fucking reason from following somebody or liking a picture or commenting on my own posts. The first time I was still able to make a post and I was still able to put up stories. And then it was like, okay, it was like 24 hours. Like, okay. I don't know why. Fine. I basically put up a post. What the fuck? I've been blocked again. And I can't comment on it. The post went up, the story went up, and I couldn't comment on it, couldn't do anything about it. And then it was like, okay, 24 hours later goes by. Like, okay, I'll get back to like stuff's over. Okay, it's letting me post again. I post. Then I go to try and like another thing and action blocked. I'm like, what the fuck? And now it's a different, I was like, what the fuck am I getting another strike or whatever the fuck for? I'm blocked or what the fuck? I didn't do anything. I've done next to nothing on this account other than make one post a day and go through liking a lot of stuff that I like from the handful of like my podcast friends and industry people and whatever that I follow and liking their stuff. Oh, from another account that I have, whatever. And suddenly I'm blocked from liking and commenting and posting, and I can't even post anymore. And I'm currently sitting here blocked on this account. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I haven't done anything. I have not done anything other than try to create content to establish a brand and establish myself in a space and creating original content to establish myself in this thing and using their system as it is designed. And now I am being punished for that. What the fuck, Instagram? Just pissed me the fuck off royally for the last week. And if I get another fucking block or error or some bullshit, I'm just going to fucking give up on it. But, I gave it a second shot. I was like, maybe that guy that I reposted his video, maybe he reported it saying I was stealing content or something. Like everything I'm doing other than that one video that guy put, which again, I've reshared in other places on Instagram previously, giving him credit that suddenly, like, maybe he reported it or something. Like, maybe that's why the first account got taken down. But now I'm like, all of my shit's coming down and I'm like getting really pissed off because I haven't done anything wrong by any stretch of anything. I have not manipulated the system. I'm not sitting there spam posting. I barely put anything up and I'm being punished for it. What the fuck? I do not understand this. And it's pissing me right the fuck off because I'm just trying to put my name out there as somebody who wants to help people make their podcasts. That's what I want to do. I'm trying to put myself out there as somebody who wants to help you do that. And apparently Instagram doesn't want me to do that. So, Instagram algorithm can eat a fucking dick. There. I needed to rant. And I'm not being as loud and ranty right now because officially right now it is quiet time for the boys because they are done with all of their schoolwork. And this is the time where I would be every other day of the week resting because I've got work. Because I didn't record already, I'm using the time right now. But otherwise, this would be when I'd be sleeping. The boys are currently in their quiet time. So I'm not being as loud and ranty as I normally would be. Also, the fact that everybody is home, even if I'm in the office. Still, that's that. So I know I'm not dropping any effects or anything in this week. I know it's time because, well, I'm on one hand, I'm recording video for this for Patreon, because I've been in all of the everything else going on. And with the last 2 interview episodes, I've kind of been neglecting Patreon. So Patreon's getting this in video form. They get to see all my weird, funny faces. Not that anybody wants to see my weird, funny face, but they get to see the bits of my face that aren't covered up by my pop shield. And, yeah, but I'm just saving myself the headache and saving the Patreon video people of all of me going back and fixing and adjusting timing and stuff up until the end. But, and just me not making sound drops because I don't have like, a soundboard where I can just like push a button and buzz. No, I time things better than that. But I do want to talk about one more thing before I go. And this has gone much longer than I expected to because you know me, I can talk forever. But I don't know when the next show will be. And I'm being honest and straightforward about this because, well, Corona. Because right now we've got me going back to work this week. So I'm going to be working. I've also got homeschool stuff with the boys. And then we've just got normal home life. And so the time when I normally would be doing show work and show prep and editing and recording and all the things that I do for the show are now going to be when I'm doing homeschool stuff with the boys. And that is time that I cannot step away from. That's where I've got to be home. I've got to be, in there with the boys, helping them with their lessons, making sure they're getting all of the different things, and I'm checking off the list, and I'm, scanning in all of their papers so that we can send the copies to their teachers so they can get graded and all of the things. And so I've got to do that. And whether or not I'm able in the in-between time to sit down and record and do show art and do all the things, I don't know. Whether or not I'll have time to do that and still spend time with my family, because, through all this, my wife still, we still have limited time together, even with her home right now, but we still have limited time together. So, I gotta see. I just gotta see how it comes out. So that's going to be that. I'm going to try. I'm going to be trying to get the show back out. I'm going to be trying to stay on schedule. I'm going to be trying come, end of the week to find time to sit down and record. I'm going to, if maybe doing it Saturday nights or Sunday, some point trying to do it, but trying to get back on, having it out Monday morning and not dropping mid-afternoons or evenings or whatever and all that. But I don't know. I honestly cannot tell you right now if I will have another show out before the summer. I really don't. I'm hoping, but it is unfortunately what we're in right now. And I'm home. I am now not just dad and Mr. Mom. I am also a teacher. And so I'm having to do all this and still having to go to work at night. So this may be the last show for a while. I might do some short stuff. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's a lot of uncertainty ahead for everybody and everything. But as far as the show goes, I'm not going to promise anything right now because I don't know. And I'm giving you the forewarning because I feel like I owe you that. I owe, as somebody who is willing to listen to me bullshit for the last 40 minutes, I owe you at least that up front. Don't know when the next show will be out. Consistency be damned. I have no clue. So that is that. But I don't know why I started with but that's going to be it for this week and all of my ramblings. You can find me at Odd Dad Out on all of the social media places: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Odd Dad Out, at ODO Voice Pro on Twitter, ODO Voice Productions on Instagram, as long as they'll let me fucking do something. God damn it. And of course, you can get all the past episodes and this and links to anything I happen to mention. And when I get back to doing podcast recommendations, which I need to get back on to my recommended listening stuff. I've got some people I need to reach out to and other stuff that I got to do. That's all at odddadaoutpodcast.com. So much to remember. Of course, thank you as always to my Patreon supporters: Kate from Ignorance Was Bliss, Heather from Sunshine and Power Cuts, Chris from Play Comics. Play Comics. Don't want to mess that up. That's just rude. Which is currently on hiatus because life. And also Lisa and Sam from I Shake My Head, who are braving the everything, whether or not they're in the car. And my newest Patreon supporter, awesome, super awesome, Rolling Misadventures. And I'm just going to give credit to everybody from the show, not just Derek, because I'm the one, he's the one that they deal with the most, but to everybody on Rolling Misadventures. Thank you for sharing your generosity with me and my bullshit. And all of the Patreon supporters will soon be, I don't know, I can't exactly say how soon because, mail and stuff, and a couple of y'all are international, but will soon be receiving their special oddball patron stickers that I just had made just special just for you guys and Patreon people, which I haven't even posted up and changed my Patreon stuff to denote that you're going to get a special sticker, but you're going to get a special sticker, special made. And if you are already a patron and you see this video, you already got to see the stickers. But anyway, enough rambling. I'm getting out of here. Oh man, I'm so tired right now. So tired. Aren't we all? What day is it? I don't know. Quarantine day. I don't know. I can't remember how to tell time anymore. Yeah, anyway. All right, enough of that. I don't have an outro. I've done all the spiel. So until next time, dear oddballs, thank you. And I'm just going to say it. Go wash your fucking hands.